The vast council chamber of the Galactic Alliance hummed with alien voices. Ambassador John stood at the center, his human frame dwarfed by the towering representatives of 100 star systems. The Krex delegate, a creature with 4 arms and scales like polished steel, laughed. The sound echoed through the chamber like breaking glass. Earth requests military aid against the Void Raiders? The Krex delegate's voice dripped with contempt. Your species can barely manage interstellar flight. You have no energy shields, no plasma weapons, no quantum drives. You still use chemical rockets and metal bullets. The other aliens joined in the laughter. The Vorn representative, a being of pure energy contained in a crystalline shell, pulsed with amusement. Humans are children playing with sticks, while we wield the forces of stars. The Void Raiders will consume your worlds in days. John remained calm. He had expected this response. For 50 years since first contact, humanity had been the joke of the galaxy. Their technology seemed primitive. Their ships looked like metal boxes compared to the sleek vessels of other races. The Alliance had allowed Earth into their council only as observers, never as equals. The Void Raiders have destroyed 3 of our colonies, John said quietly. 12,000 humans are dead. We need help. The Supreme Commander of the Alliance, an ancient being called Tor, spoke from his elevated platform. His 6 eyes regarded John with something close to pity. The Alliance protects those who contribute. Earth offers nothing. No advanced technology, no resources we need, no military strength. You must handle your own problems. But we are members of this alliance, John protested. Observer members, Tor corrected. You watch and learn. That is all. The Krex delegate stepped forward, his massive form casting a shadow over John. Perhaps it is time Earth accepts its place. Become a protectorate of the Krex Empire. We will handle the Void Raiders, and you will serve us. It is better than extinction. John's jaw tightened. Earth will never surrender its freedom. More laughter filled the chamber. The meeting ended with the Alliance's refusal. John walked out alone, ignored by the alien delegates who continued their important discussions. They did not notice the small smile on his face as he activated his communicator. Admiral? Yes, they refused. Exactly as we predicted. He paused, listening. Understood. Begin Operation Rising Sun. Back on Earth, deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Admiral Roberts stood in a massive underground complex. Screens covered every wall, showing hundreds of facilities across the planet. For 50 years, humanity had played weak. They had hidden their true progress, their real capabilities. They had learned that the galaxy respected only strength. All stations report ready. An officer announced. Robert nodded. 50 years of pretending to be helpless. 50 years of secret development. They think our bullets and rockets are all we have. He turned to his staff. Show them what humans can really do. Launch the Ghost Fleet. Across Earth and its colonies, hidden bases opened. Ships rose from beneath oceans, from inside mountains, from the dark side of the moon. These were not the crude vessels the galaxy knew. These ships were black as space itself, built with technology reverse-engineered and improved from every alien race humanity had encountered. The Void Raiders arrived at Earth's newest colony 3 days later. Their bioships, living creatures the size of cities, emerged from hyperspace expecting easy prey. Instead, they found a human fleet waiting. Not the dozen old ships the Alliance database showed, but 300 vessels that seemed to bend light around them. Captain Maria stood on the bridge of the lead ship, watching the Void Raiders approach. They're sending their standard terror message, her communications officer reported. Surrender or be consumed. Send our reply, Maria ordered. The human fleet moved as one. Where the galaxy expected chemical rockets, they saw ships that teleported short distances. Where aliens expected metal bullets, they witnessed weapons that fired contained black holes. The Void Raiders, who had terrorized the galaxy for centuries, lasted exactly 17 minutes. The news reached the Galactic Alliance during their next meeting. The council chamber fell silent as they watched the battle recording. Humanity had not just survived. They had annihilated an enemy that even the mighty Krex feared. And this was only the beginning. Asterisk, the emergency session of the Galactic Alliance convened within hours of the battle footage arriving. For the first time in the Alliance's 1,000-year history, every single member attended. The council chamber buzzed with nervous energy as dozens of alien species tried to understand what they had witnessed. Ambassador John entered the chamber again. But this time, no one laughed. The Krex delegate who had mocked him days ago now stood rigid, his forearms twitching with uncertainty. The Vorn representative's energy form flickered with what could only be described as fear. Supreme Commander Tor spoke first, his 6 eyes fixed on John. Explain this deception. How does a species we classified as primitive possess such weapons? John walked to the center of the chamber with measured steps. You want the truth? For 50 years, you showed us exactly what the galaxy values. Not peace, not cooperation, but power. So we learned. We listened. We adapted. Impossible, the Krex delegate interrupted. Your technology was centuries behind. We monitored your transmissions, studied your ships. You saw what we wanted you to see. John cut him off. Every alien race that visited Earth came with scanners, spies, and superiority complexes. You were so confident in your dominance that you never considered we might be hiding our true nature. The holographic display in the chamber activated, showing Earth. But this was not the Earth the Alliance knew. Hidden facilities appeared across the planet, each one a massive research center. Moon bases materialized from cloaking fields. Mars revealed cities beneath its surface. When the Zeph sold us their old mining equipment, we reverse-engineered their power cores, John explained. When the Vorn traded basic knowledge for our music, we learned about energy manipulation. Every piece of technology you discarded as obsolete, we studied. Every principle you explained to the primitive humans, we expanded upon. The display changed, showing human ships in detail. They were not copies of alien designs, but something entirely new. Human engineers had combined technologies from different species in ways the original creators never imagined. Your mistake, John continued, was believing that technological advancement follows only one path. You achieved spaceflight through element zero. We used chemical rockets. You developed energy shields. We created dimensional barriers. You never considered that our different approach might lead to unique advantages. Admiral Robert appeared on the communication screen, broadcasting from Earth's command center. The Void Raiders were just the beginning. Our deep space sensors show 3 more hive fleets heading toward Alliance territory. They avoided Earth because they're targeting what they consider stronger prey. You. Panic rippled through the chamber. The Void Raiders had been a plague on the galaxy for centuries, striking isolated worlds and disappearing. But 3 full hive fleets could devastate entire sectors. The Alliance military will handle this threat, Tor declared, though his voice lacked conviction. Like you handled our request for help? John asked. The Alliance fleet is scattered across 1,000 systems. By the time you gather your forces, dozens of worlds will burn. The human admiral spoke again. We have a proposal. Humanity will stop the Void Raiders, all of them. In return, Earth becomes a full member of the Alliance. Equal voice, equal vote, equal standing. The chamber erupted in protests. The Krex delegate slammed his fists on his platform. You dare make demands? This is extortion. This is negotiation, John replied calmly. The same kind you've practiced for centuries. The strong dictate terms. You taught us that lesson well. A new voice entered the discussion. The ancient Yilon representative, who had remained silent for decades, spoke with a voice like rustling leaves. Show us. If humanity can stop one hive fleet, we will consider your proposal. John smiled. Admiral, demonstrate the Prometheus protocol. On the screen, space itself seemed to ripple near Jupiter. A single human ship, smaller than most cargo vessels, emerged from stealth mode. It fired a single projectile toward the gas giant. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Jupiter's great red spot began to collapse, its centuries-old storm compressed into a point of impossible density. The energy released was channeled through the human ship, creating a beam that could split a moon in half. We turned your greatest insult into our greatest strength, John said to the silent chamber. You called us primitive for still using projectile weapons. But we asked ourselves, what is a bullet but directed kinetic energy? What if we could direct the kinetic energy of a planet's rotation? A star's gravity? A black hole's spin? The implications hit the Alliance like a physical blow. Humanity had not just caught up. They had found a completely different path to power. Asterisk. The first Void Raider Hive fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Kelton system, home to 2 billion souls and one of the Alliance's major trade hubs. The bioships, each one a living nightmare of teeth and tentacles the size of continents, began their approach. They had consumed dozens of worlds using the same tactic. Overwhelm with numbers, devour all life. Move on. Captain David commanded humanity's response force, just 20 ships against nearly 200 bio-vessels. The Alliance observers aboard his ship, including a nervous Krex warrior named Breck, could not hide their skepticism. 20 ships against a hive fleet? Breck muttered. This is suicide. Even our entire battle group would struggle against such numbers. David stood relaxed on his bridge, watching the approaching horror with calm interest. You're thinking in terms of conventional warfare. Watch and learn. The human ships spread out in a formation the Alliance observers didn't recognize. Each vessel launched what appeared to be small probes, thousands of them spreading like seeds across space. Mining drones? The Vorn observer asked, its energy form pulsing with confusion. Something like that, David replied. He turned to his weapons officer. Lieutenant Smith, begin Phase 1. The probes activated simultaneously. Instead of mining, they began to sing not with sound, but with gravitational waves. The song spread through space, a pattern that made reality itself vibrate. The Void Raiders bioships, which navigated by sensing life energy, suddenly went blind. Their organic sensors, evolved over millennia, could not process the gravitational static. Phase 2. David ordered 10 human ships, jumped not through hyperspace, but by folding space itself. They appeared inside the Void Raider formation, among the confused bioships. Each human vessel released a cloud of what looked like silver dust. Breck laughed harshly. Dust? You fight with dust? Nanomachines, David corrected. But not for construction or destruction. These are teachers. The silver clouds touched the bioships' organic hulls. Within seconds, the nanomachines began teaching the Void Raiders' own cells a new pattern of growth. The bioships' greatest strength, their ability to adapt and regenerate, became their weakness. They began growing uncontrollably, tumors of flesh and bone erupting across their surfaces. Ships turned on each other as their neural networks crossed and merged randomly. You're using their biology against them, the Vorn observer whispered. Everything has a weakness, David said. The Void Raiders were perfect predators because they could adapt to any attack. So we didn't attack them. We helped them adapt so fast they couldn't control it. Within an hour, half the hive fleet was consuming itself. But the Void Raiders were not stupid. The surviving ships pulled back, forming a defensive sphere. Their eldest bioship, a creature that had lived for thousands of years, began emanating a powerful psychic scream. It was calling for help. "Sir," the communications officer reported, "the other two Hive fleets just changed course. They're coming here." Breck grabbed David's arm with two of his four hands. "You've doomed us all. 3 fleets in one system, nothing can stop that." David smiled. "Who said we wanted to stop them?" He opened a channel to Earth. "Admiral Robert." They took the bait. The space around the Kelton system began to change. What the Alliance thought was empty void revealed hundreds of human ships that had been waiting in stealth mode for days. But these ships didn't move to attack. Instead, they formed a perfect sphere around the entire star system. Admiral Robert appeared on screen. "Every Void Raider in existence is about to be in one place. We won't get another chance like this." The human ships began to link, not physically, but through beams of controlled dark energy. They were building something, a construct of pure physics that shouldn't be possible. "What are you doing?" Tor demanded, his image appearing on the emergency channel. "Something we learned from Earth's history," John replied from the Alliance Council chamber. "When facing a stronger enemy, you don't fight their strengths. You trap them with their own hunger. It's called a honeypot." The construct completed just as all 3 Hive fleets arrived. Space itself became a cage. The Void Raiders could enter, but the dimensional walls prevented them from leaving. They were trapped in a sphere 20 light minutes across, with only one option: fight each other for the limited resources. "You're turning them into prisoners," Breck said in amazement. "No," David corrected. "We're turning them into a problem that solves itself. In 3 days, only one Void Raider will remain, weakened and alone. Then we'll offer it a choice: surrender or face extinction." The Alliance observers watched in stunned silence as humanity accomplished in hours what the galaxy had failed to do in centuries. Asterisk. The last Void Raider hung in space, a broken creature barely 1/10 its original size. It had survived by consuming its own kind, and now it floated in the dimensional cage humanity had created, alone and defeated. The gathered Alliance fleet, over 1,000 ships from every member species, watched as a single human vessel approached the prisoner. Captain Sarah commanded the ship, chosen for this moment because of her unique background as both a soldier and a xenobiologist. The Alliance had demanded to witness the final confrontation, and representatives from every species watched through quantum-linked feeds. "Open a channel," Sarah ordered. For the first time in galactic history, someone would attempt to communicate with a Void Raider. The creature's psychic scream had faded to a whisper. When Sarah's message reached it, something unexpected happened. It responded, not with hunger or rage, but with images, memories spanning millions of years. The bridge fell silent as the Void Raiders' history unfolded in their minds. They saw a peaceful species on a distant world, beings of pure biological harmony. Then came the invaders, an ancient race the galaxy had forgotten, who tortured and twisted these peaceful creatures into weapons. The Void Raiders were not conquerors by choice. They were victims, programmed to consume because their creators had burned away everything else. "My God," Sarah whispered. "They're prisoners in their own bodies." The revelation sent shockwaves through the Alliance fleet. Supreme Commander Tor's voice crackled over the comms. "Impossible. The Void Raiders have plagued us for millennia. They cannot be victims. Can't they?" John's voice came from Earth, where humanity's leaders had gathered. How many species in this alliance were once conquerors who chose a different path? How many were given that choice? The Void Raider sent another image, its own genetic code, corrupted and locked by its ancient masters. It could not stop consuming because its very DNA was a prison. But it also sent something else: hope. A question. Could they be freed? Sarah turned to her crew. Bring up the Genesis Protocol. Captain, her science officer warned, that was designed for terraforming dead worlds, not rewriting a living creature's existence. Sarah finished. Maybe it's time we found out what human compassion can do. The Alliance watched as humanity revealed another secret. The Genesis Protocol was not just terraforming technology. It was the culmination of human genetic science, quantum biology, and something uniquely human, the belief that anything broken could be fixed. You're insane, Rex said over the comm. If you fail, if it breaks free, then we'll deal with it, Sarah replied. But if we succeed, we don't just stop the Void Raiders. We save them. The process took 12 hours. Human ships surrounded the creature, not with weapons, but with beams of precisely tuned genetic reformatters. They unwound millions of years of forced evolution, like archaeologists carefully removing layers of stone to reveal the truth beneath the Void Raider writhed, not in pain but in transformation. Its massive bioship form began to shift, compress, reshape. The armor of bone and teeth dissolved. The endless hunger that had defined its existence for eons finally, miraculously, stopped. What emerged was something beautiful, a creature of living light and biological harmony, no larger than a human ship. It pulsed with colors the galaxy had never seen, and when it communicated again, it was not with psychic screams, but with something like music. Thank you, the message came. Not just from one, but from the genetic memory of billions of consumed Void Raiders. We are free. The Alliance fleet watched in stunned silence. Humanity had not just defeated the galaxy's greatest threat. They had redeemed it. Admiral Roberts spoke from Earth. This is what humanity offers the galaxy. Not just strength, but the wisdom to know when not to use it. Not just victory, but the compassion to heal even our enemies. The transformed creature sent one more message. Coordinates to 6 other locations where dormant Void Raiders waited in hiding. The last of their kind. It would guide humanity to them, help free them as it had been freed. But then came the real shock. The creature revealed something else in its memories. The ancient enemy that had created them was not gone. They were only sleeping, waiting in the void between galaxies. The Void Raiders had been their scouts, their harbingers. They're coming back, Sarah said quietly. The ones who made the Void Raiders. And they're worse than anything we faced. The Alliance had a choice. Face this threat divided, or stand with humanity. The decision that followed would reshape the galaxy forever. Asterisk. The Galactic Alliance Council Chamber had never been so quiet. Every representative had seen the memories of the transformed Void Raider, witnessed the shadow of the ancient enemy looming beyond their galaxy. The architects, as the Void Raider had called them, beings that shaped entire species into weapons for wars fought before the Alliance existed. Supreme Commander Tor broke the silence. How long before they arrive? The transformed Void Raider, now calling itself Echo, projected star charts through the human ship's communication array. 10 of your years, perhaps less. They sleep between galaxies, but they have felt their creation's destruction. They will wake. They will come. And when they do? The Krex delegate asked, his usual arrogance replaced by fear. John stood in the council chamber, no longer the dismissed representative of a primitive species. When they come, they'll find the galaxy united, or they'll pick us apart one by one. You ask us to trust humanity, the Vor representative pulsed. After you deceived us for 50 years, we showed you strength because it's all you respected, Admiral Roberts said from Earth. But look at what we did with that strength. We could have destroyed the Void Raiders, but we saved them. We could have held the galaxy hostage, but we're offering partnership. Partnership. Tor spoke the word slowly. equal standing for Earth in the Alliance. More than that, John replied. He gestured, and new holographic displays filled the chamber. We're proposing a complete restructuring. No more hierarchy based on technological advancement. No more observer status for developing worlds. Every species brings something unique. The displays showed human colonies across the galaxy, but not as conquerors. Humans lived alongside other species, learning from them, teaching in return. Where other races had failed to colonize harsh worlds, humans thrived through adaptation and stubbornness. Where advanced species had given up on damaged ecosystems, humans restored them through patience and ingenuity. You call us primitive for using metal and chemistry, John continued. But when the Yilon plague threatened to destroy their forests, it was human botanists who found the cure using simple earth bacteria. When the Kelton sun began to destabilize, it was human physicists who stabilized it with what you called outdated nuclear science. Captain Sarah's voice came through the comms. We've located the first dormant Void Raider site. We can begin the transformation, but we'll need the Alliance's help. The process requires resources from 12 different worlds. It was a test, and everyone knew it. Would the Alliance work with humanity, or would old prejudices prevail? The ancient Yilon representative spoke. The forests of Yilon will provide what is needed. The Kelton forges are at your disposal. Another voice added. One by one, species that had mocked humanity days ago offered their resources. Not from fear, but from hope. They had seen what human compassion could accomplish. Over the following months, 6 more Void Raiders were freed. Each transformation revealed more about the architects, their technology, their tactics, their weaknesses. The freed creatures chose to remain to help defend the galaxy that had been their hunting ground for so long. Redemption, they called it, but the real change came from humanity's example. The rigid Alliance hierarchy began to crack. Lesser species that had been ignored for centuries suddenly found their voices heard. The Mrex, barely spacefaring, offered a new type of organic armor that could adapt to any attack. The Solari, considered too emotional for serious discourse, provided psychic shields that could block the architects. Mental manipulation. Admiral Roberts stood before the assembled fleet, no longer separated by species but integrated. Human ships beside Krex vessels, Vorn energy beings working with Yilon organic craft. The architects believe they'll find the same divided galaxy they left behind. They're wrong. The first probe arrived exactly 10 years after the last Void Raider's transformation. It was a small thing, no larger than a human shuttle, but it radiated ancient malevolence. It scanned the galaxy, searching for its lost weapons. Instead, it found Echo and the other freed Void Raiders. It found the Alliance fleet, united and ready. Most importantly, it found humanity, the species that had turned the galaxy's greatest threat into its greatest ally. The probe sent one message back to its masters before the combined fleet. Destroyed it. The primitive species have evolved. In the council chamber, now rebuilt to accommodate every member species as equals, John smiled. Let them come. They'll find that humanity's greatest strength was never our weapons or our deception. It was our ability to see potential where others saw weakness, to find hope where others saw only threat. And that, Supreme Commander Tor said, standing beside the human ambassador as an equal, is why the galaxy needs humanity. The stars awaited. The architects were coming. But for the first time in galactic history, they would face not a divided galaxy, but a united one led by the species they would have dismissed as weak. Humanity had risen, and with them, the entire galaxy rose too. The end, asterisk.